have 6 patriots, in my opinion, patriots, indicted under the Espionage Act for either leaking documents or protesting policy that is supposed to be secret. And that raises a question for all of us. Where is freedom of information? What is freedom of information now? Who are we as historians and journalists? And what do we need to be doing to fight the criminalization of journalism, the criminalization of activist history, the criminalization of telling the truth? And I want to just say, here we are in this new world. And for folks my age, it really is a new world. It is, I think it's comparable, I wrote my first 3 books by hand. I gave it to a typist who typed them. This is comparable to writing in stone and having a printing press. I mean, it's really very dramatic. And the drama is very interesting because it is global. Bradley Manning was sitting at a computer for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, in a tiny little town in Iraq with nothing to do but listen to Lady Gaga and play on the computer. He had access to the same files literally millions of people have access to. And then he saw things he didn't like, crimes against humanity, including that terrible assassination film that you all probably saw of, folks being killed in Haditha. And that was the first thing that he is accused of having released. And so we have this global document dump, this global freedom of information crisis, and it is to be what? Met with life in prison? Or do we protest? And I want to put this in another context as I try to finish Eleanor Roosevelt Volume 3. One of the real heroes of the 20th century is Wendell Willkie. And Wendell Willkie, who ran against FDR in 1940, is sent by FDR on a global tour of military hotspots. And he has an epiphany. And the epiphany is very simple. Everything that happens anywhere affects everybody, everywhere. We are one world. And in this global moment of information everywhere, accessible to everyone, there's no doubt that we are one world. And it's time to stop targeted killings. It's time to stop killing each other. It's time to speak with each other. It's time to do what Eisenhower said we should do, the top side of Eisenhower's foreign policy. Deal with the military-industrial complex, which deprives. Before he did the 1961 farewell address, he did a speech in 1953 called The Chance for Peace. And the Chance for Peace speech is even better. Not that it could be even better, but in my opinion, even better. Because he gives the facts of how much money, I'll read it to you, just a paragraph. How much money the military costs, and how much we could buy if we would transfer these military dollars that cause so much chaos and carnage to the needs of the people, not only in the United States, but to the needs of the people around the world. He says, all war-weary people share one decent purpose: to guard vigilantly against the domination, ever again, of any part of the world by a single, unbridled, aggressive power. This common purpose has no turning point. The worst is atomic war. The best, a life of perpetual fear and tension. We must end it. Every gun that is made, every warship launched, every rocket fired is a theft from those who hunger and are not fed, those who are cold and are not clothed. This world in arms is not spending money alone. It is spending the sweat of its workers, the genius of its scientists, the hopes of its children. The cost of one modern heavy bomber is this: a modern brick school in more than 30 cities. And here we are closing public schools everywhere. 100 schools have been closed, K through 12, in New York City. It is 2 electric power plants serving a town of 60,000. It is 2 fine, fully equipped hospitals. We pay for a single fighter plane with 500,000 bushels of wheat. He goes on, ends. This is not a way of life at all. It is humanity hanging from a cross of iron. 1953. So it's time to stop. I know you said 20 minutes. Do I have 5 minutes left? As much as I want. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll do another 5 and then questions. I wanted to say something about this moment we're living in terms of where do we get our information and who do we trust to give us the information. And I've been very fortunate as an historian and as a journalist, and I still, for CUNY TV, I still interview folks, so I've been very lucky. Among the people who were my friends, as I was writing Eisenhower, were 3 CIA operatives whose work was held up by the CIA because everybody who works both for the CIA and the State Department, and after after the Guatemalan papers got reclassified, I served for 6 years on the State Department's Historical Advisory Committee, where I took an oath of secrecy, and I had top security clearance so that we could fight to get some of the documents re-declassified, which we did. And as somebody who took that oath of secrecy, I've never named a name, and I've never, to the best of my knowledge, revealed a dangerous secret. That is to hurt anybody alive and in the field. I only tell secrets about the dead, as much as possible. That is to say, as many secrets as possible. But among those people were 2 people whose books, if you want to understand this moment, are really worth reading. Wilbur Evelyn, who wrote a very powerful book on the Middle East called Ropes of Sand, and as chief of station for many years, he really deplored U.S. policy, U.S.-UK policy mostly, in this region that is still so tense and so embattled. And if you look at Ropes of Sand, there are pages missing, paragraphs missing, and that's, that was an agreement that agents made. People like Ray Close and Ray McGovern. And if you go on Common Dreams, how many of you go on Common Dreams as journalists, goody-goody? As journalists and historians, these days the best place, in my opinion, to get breaking news is commondreams.org, which is global and progressive news and progressive, connections or